Hi, it's Sharon from Sharon's Stamping Spot. I know it's been a while. I went to an event this week and it got me motivated to get back on here and do some stuff. I also had a project that was left over from the event. It was a thing where other demonstrators from around Edmonton and all over Alberta, and even I think some from Saskatchewan came, that we got together and we did some learning about how to do things in our business. Um, we also got motivated and we got to do some crafting too. This project that I'm going to do today is called a pinwheel card, and it was a project that I learned how to do only a week ago, but it was so easy. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring this for my swap at the event. And I had one left over, so I'm going to make it right now and I'm going to show you how easy it is. Let's turn the camera around and we'll get started. So this is the pinwheel card that I'm going to make today. A sample that I've got left is a little bit different color, but it's the same idea anyways. This part is the pinwheel, obviously, and it looks really tough, but it isn't, I promise. So I'm just going to put this one aside before I completely wreck it. So in my kit, I had all of these pieces and they were ready to go for the demonstrators because we wanted them to be quick and easy to put together. So I have 4 pieces here that are 1¼ inches square. And I used a DSP for these 4. I have another 4 pieces, and these ones I actually dry embossed, and I used the embossing folder right here, painted texture. So I ran through a strip and then I cut out the pieces afterwards. So these are also 1¼ inch square, and I believe these ones are Melon Mambo. Then I also had all of the pieces for the card. So there's a card base that was just an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of basic white cardstock. I also have some other pieces of basic white. These two, I don't remember the dimensions, but I'll put them in the description afterwards. One's for the inside of the card, so I didn't do anything to it, but the one for the front, I ran through that same embossing folder to give it a little bit of texture. Then I have the matting pieces already cut, one for inside, one for the outside. And then this is for the sentiment part here. And some linen thread, which if I don't forget, I will actually wrap around the front before I glue it onto the card. And these, whoa, these don't look like they got cut properly. So I'm just going to stop the camera and cut a new piece, and then I will be right back. Okay, that's better. I now have actual squares here. So these two are 2 5/8 square, and you want 2 pieces the same. Now you can use some grid paper and line them up, but I saw somebody do a really great idea. Once you've got that figured out and lined up properly, you can actually use one that you've already done and match it. So what you want to do is just take some glue. I love the green glue because it gives me some wiggle room. I'm just going to put a little bit in the middle here, and I'm going to line these up and glue both squares together so it gives you that pinwheel shape. So that's about as difficult as it gets. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these squares. Now the really tricky part is the first one that you're going to glue on, you only want to glue it on the right hand side, because if you put glue on the whole thing, you're going to have that down solid, and then when you get to do the last piece, it's not going to go underneath like it needs to. So you're just going to put the very first one on the first point, and then the rest of them you can glue all over. And you're just going to keep going around the pinwheel because they actually don't interlock other than visually. So keep going around, and you're going to put one after the other and just alternate the colors. So I'm just doing my DSP and then a solid color, another piece of DSP, and so on until you get around the whole piece. Now you want to, when you're doing it, just line it up so that you've got a little bit of that Night of Navy revealed underneath. And I'm also taking a little bit of time just to pick which direction I want, because I want to have some of those bright colors showing through underneath. And another solid piece, and DSP, and you can use whatever DSPs. Now it does work better if you have things that contrast, because if you notice, some of these colors are not quite very, very different, so they kind of blend together. So the more contrast you've got, the better. Now this is that last piece, and I'm going to glue it all over. That first piece you should be able to peel up, and that's what's going to make it possible to slip this one underneath, glue it in place, and then you can go back and put some glue under that first piece and just press it down, and there's your pinwheel. That's as easy as it is. Like, or that's as hard as it gets. It's really not hard. So the rest of the card, all that we're doing is making sure that we fold our card base, and I'm just going to use a bone folder. Bone folder just gives you that nice, clean, crisp fold. And I'm going to put that away before I mess up and don't glue on the linen thread. So here is the mat for the front, and I've got my embossed piece of basic white. Come on, hello, I have glue in here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. You don't need a lot, it will stay, promise. And then once you get it down, you're just going to give yourself a little bit of that reveal. Oh, and I didn't cut some of these properly, so I'm just going to cut a little sliver off of that so I can get that reveal that I want. Oops. There we go. I'm just going to pop that back on. The glue should be still wet. There, that's better. You just want a little tiny reveal there. I didn't do much. I think I did an 1/8 of an inch on these ones. And then when you're lining up your pinwheel, you can actually do it two ways. You can do it so that the V is in the center, or the point is at the center. I kind of like it so that it's the V in the center, just preference, nothing particularly wonderful about it, or tricky. So I'm just going to take this, pop some dimensionals on, to give it that lift and a little bit of shadow. Neat trick I saw. I'm just going to take my pick, see if this works. Oh, it doesn't. There we go. You can use your pointy thing and get, some of my packs are older, and it doesn't seem to want to do it on the older packs as easily as the new packs. Rotate your stock. That is the lesson that I am learning. Instead of using my new stuff all the time, I need to just make sure I've got the older ones. Okay, so we're going to take that, and I am going to line up, and I'm just eyeballing. It doesn't need to be perfect. Remember, these are handmade cards. So there's that. Then I'm going to take my stamp, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment on really, really quick. And mine just says "Smiles Across the Mile." Now, if you really want to get particular about how lined up it is, I'm just going to line it up with the bottom of my tile here. Lay the photopolymer down, and when you lay it down and have it just where you want it, you can put the block on top of it. I'm just going to ink up my stamp. Photopolymer lets you see where you've missed. Smiles across the miles, nice in the center. Pop that off. And on my sample card, I actually just took some of the scraps that I had from making this and used them to kind of give a little bit of pop of color. behind, and all I did was just kind of layer it and then popped my thing on top. See where I like it. Okay, so I'm just going to put some glue. Nothing fancy, nothing tricky about this. Pop some glue on there. I haven't even cut it yet, if you noticed. Put some glue on the back of my sentiment. Pop it on top. And then I'm literally lining it up with where I want it. So if I just take my trimmer, or you can take some paper snips, and let's say not that much. And there's my scraps all done. And I'm just going to use some dimensionals for that as well. Pop it up. And I will not forget to wrap my linen thread. That's my next thing before I glue this onto my card. So there is my sentiment. And I like how it's got the different colors, but they're all still coordinating. So I'm going to take my linen thread, just wrap it around my card a couple of times. And let's get that, I think, a little bit longer on that side. There we go. Make that nice little bow. Easier said than done. I like to pull them tight and then play with it, and I can just kind of tug at the tails until I get what I like. Fiddle with that a bit. Let's go underneath the points on that, and I can even shift it over here. There we go. That looks good. And use my snips if I can figure out where I've put them. This is why we have more than one set. There we go. So that is done. All I have to do is pop it onto the front, and I'll probably use some more dimensionals for that. But that's as easy as it is. It's really, really not that hard to make a really cool card. And all I did with the center of the pinwheel is just popped a gem on the middle to make it actually look like a pinwheel. There you go, 2 pinwheel cards. So if you need to know the dimensions or anything like that, I will pop them into the description on the video, and I hope you try it out because it really is that easy. Okay, thanks a lot for joining me today. Bye bye.